generally the award is kind of given to somebody who has had a huge impact, if not the biggest impact on the world in a year. And it's kind of hard to think of somebody who has had more of an overall global cultural impact than Taylor across 2023.
It is interesting because she was up against, politicians, and far more serious contenders. Do you think that being an entertainer, that sort of minimises or makes it seem frivolous?
I think that's the arguments I've seen people making, and that is the conversation that's happening. But I think really she's kind of brought everyone together more than anyone else. And no matter who you pick, if it's a politician, if it's like a tech mogul, they're always kind of more of a negative, divisive character. But Taylor, she's brought families together, bonding over a love of her music. She's brought workplaces together as they try to get tickets. They've brought, cinemas and arenas and stadiums of people around the world together. So she's kind of been this unifying figure in what has otherwise been, quite a depressing state of affairs across both this year and the last few years. So I think they were aiming for positivity, and that's the message that I'm kind of taking from it.
Yeah, I think they even made that comment that she brings the light. And she also seems, and you've been a bit of a student of hers, she brings a kind of independence and a rebellion that is a very good example for many other women or any other artist.
Yeah, she's all about, independence, strong womanhood, and kind of owning yourself and your own power, which is what we're seeing with her Taylor's version re-recordings, which we had 2 of those this year. And, her whole message is about empowerment and being yourself and being happy to be yourself, whether you're being goofy or serious or like whatever mood that is. It's just, owning your identity. And that's like a really strong message she's sharing both with other artists, but also just with all of her fans around the world and people who look up to her.
We shouldn't also forget that she brings economic boom wherever she moves. If you think of some of the financial successes, the impact she has on cities that she visits.
Yes, it's huge. We've seen it, all across America and then into South America, and we're going to be seeing it in Australia in February. As soon as the concert hits a city, accommodation sells out, flights book out. There's a sharp increase in income for all the stores and restaurants in the local area. She makes a noticeable blip on economies, as you say, everywhere she touches. And it's so rare to see that. And we've even seen it when she's been visiting cities that have the football games for her to see Travis Kelce. They notice big bumps as well. She just has this golden touch and people are just so willing to spend to see her. And
you mentioned there Travis Kelce, that's her boyfriend of just probably, a couple of weeks, months now. But the impact even of that romance seems to have uplifted people, made people feel pretty good about things.
Yeah, I think it's because he is such a kind of fun character in and of himself. And, people went back through his social media to try and find something controversial or catch him out. And they just found somebody who was a bit goofy, having a good time, making silly tweets back in 2010, 2011. And he has the podcast with his brother, and everything about him kind of matches her energy. And I think that just kind of is giving people a bit of a hope about love and success and being able to kind of have it all and not having to choose, to be this powerful businesswoman or to find love, which was kind of that narrative around all of her breakups. She's kind of showing that she can do everything.
Yeah, and she's the first person to reach $1 billion of worth from her music alone, not from other spin-off things, which is an extraordinary achievement.
Yeah, she's really connected with her fans over the years and has put out just a sheer volume of work. But a lot of that comes from the Taylor's version re-recordings from the past few years, because the fans want to support her and support her owning her own music. So even if they've owned Fearless from 2008 or Speak Now from 2010, they're going to keep buying that music and giving her that additional boost in income, because they want to show her that they're supportive of her versions, of her identity and of her music, rather than just staying listening to the versions that she no longer has control over.
Yeah, and she's used her success to expose the music industry's treatment of artists. But the problem is not everyone has her clout, do they?
No, they definitely don't. And I think it's good that she does use her voice and is kind of shining that light on it. And she did it in the profile in Time magazine today as well. But it is kind of still this insidious underbelly to the music industry. And if you're not Taylor Swift and you're not kind of the person of the year, too many performers are still being mistreated and too afraid to speak up because it is these record labels that hold the ultimate power to, you know, make or break a career.
Yeah. What do you make of the political voice that she has found, and do you think that could pose challenges for her if she does occupy that space too much as an artist?
I think it's always hard when celebrities kind of cross into that political space because a lot of expectation gets placed on their shoulders. That's kind of what we saw happening to her in the lead up to her initially having a political voice. She was being called out for not speaking out in the 2016 elections. You know, people were saying she must be a Trump supporter. And now we're kind of seeing it as she hasn't made any statements about Palestine, and people are kind of calling her out around that. And it's this fine line that these celebrities walk where they don't want to alienate anyone, which can be seen as, you know, being a bit of a coward and not standing up for your beliefs. But it's a really complicated space. And I guess we can't judge her. It's easy for us to say, well, she should be speaking out on these things, but she has such immense, you know, wealth and so many things on the line that maybe we don't know about. But I think she would be very afraid of losing potentially big chunks of her audience should she make too big of a political statement. And I think that's not just her. I think it's why a lot of mega celebrities across the board, we don't really see making huge political statements because they're afraid of losing their audience and, you know, potentially millions or billions of dollars, even if it means they're not voicing what is technically right.
Yeah. Georgia, a very interesting accolade indeed. Great to get your thoughts. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.